Hey there, welcome to this deep dive. We're going to take you on a journey today through some really interesting ideas. We're looking at two books by this guy, Caron.
Oh, yeah, Caron.
Yeah. Psychonaut's Guide to the Multiverse.pdf
Okay.
and The Gift Building New Haven.pdf. So the first one's a guide to spiritual evolution using like mushrooms, psilocybe cubensis.
Psilocybin, yeah.
Yeah. And the second one is a story about a community that seems to be kind of putting these ideas into practice.
Interesting.
So we're going to explore, Caron's whole philosophy, what this New Haven community is all about, and how it all connects to broader historical and spiritual concepts.
Yeah, I mean, right away, he kind of goes right at some pretty fundamental interpretations like the story of Genesis.
The Garden of Eden, Adam and Eve.
Yeah, right.
It just flips the script on that whole serpent and the forbidden fruit.
Yeah, instead of temptation and downfall, it's enlightenment and truth. Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
And he connects that to ancient myths, like the Epic of Gilgamesh, suggesting this recurring theme of the serpent guarding the tree of life.
Like a guardian.
Yeah, like is this a warning? Or is it a guide to something else?
Right, it's a whole different way to look at it.
Yeah.
And he even has this line in the Psychonaut's Guide. It's kind of a punch in the gut. The gods in the Garden of Eden were lying to Adam and Eve, and your ministers, preachers, and teachers have been lying to you too.
Wow, that's pretty direct.
Holy crap. He even says, holy crap.
It's pretty strong. I think he's saying that we've been kind of conditioned to accept certain narratives without questioning them.
Right, to just take things at face value. Yeah.
Exactly.
It makes you think about these stories and their potential meanings, especially in the context of, like, spiritual exploration.
Exactly. And speaking of reinterpreting, religious symbols, he suggests that the Christian Eucharist, the flesh and blood metaphor,
Right.
could actually refer to like a sacramental mushroom.
Okay, now that's really interesting. I hadn't thought of that before.
He draws parallels to Soma in the Rig Veda and the use of psychoactive substances in rituals by groups like the Eleusinian Mysteries and the Essenes. So he's weaving together all these threads of ancient practices and looking at them through the lens of psychedelic experience.
Right, through that particular lens. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It definitely makes you think about the history of spirituality in a whole new way. So where does this New Haven community fit into all of this?
Well, that's where the second book comes in, the giftbuildingnewhaven.pdf. We get this fictional community.
Or Triangle of It.
Yeah, where these principles are playing out. We meet the protagonist, Ed Harley, and get a glimpse into their social structure. It's very unique.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like egalitarianism, consensus-based decision-making, gift economy. It's like a whole different system than what we're used to.
Very different, yeah.
Yeah.
And woven into this social fabric, they have these regular psychedelic retreats using the mushrooms. It seems to be central to their spiritual practice and how they bond as a community.
Right. So it's not just, taking the substance. It's the whole context, the intention, the way they use it together.
Yeah, the community aspect of it.
Right. It's intriguing. I noticed they use tarot in their decision-making.
Oh, yeah.
Especially when Ed is being considered, as a potential member. He gets the death card in his reading, which freaks him out, of course.
Yeah, that would freak me out.
But they interpret it as transformation.
That's a positive thing.
It's kind of foreshadowing.
It foreshadows his initiation into the community, yeah. Facing his fears, surrendering to the unknown.
Oh, yeah. And that reminds me of this concept from the Psychonaut's Guide, the idea of not clinging.
Oh, that's Caron's, like, one rule to rule them all. He emphasizes, letting go, flowing with the experience, both in psychedelic journeys and in life.
Right. Releasing resistance and surrendering to the flow of events.
Which is always easier said than done.
Yeah. You think you're not clinging, and then you realize you're, like, white-knuckling it. He also talks a lot about the importance of set and setting, the mindset and environment you're in as being super important, for shaping a positive experience.
So crucial, yeah.
So it's not just the substance itself, but the context and your internal state going into it.
Exactly. A supportive environment, clear intention, makes a huge difference.
Now, I'm wondering how this not clinging idea plays out in the New Haven community.
Well, it seems to be a core principle that guides their way of life. They're always adapting, evolving, embracing the unknown.
It seems like that's kind of their motto.
And their social structure, this blend of egalitarianism, consensus-based decision-making, the gift economy, it's all about letting go of traditional power dynamics and embracing a more fluid, collaborative way of being.
It's making me question our own structures and whether there are other ways to organize ourselves.
Yeah, for sure.
And that leads us to another concept that Caron explores in both books, the idea of the grid.
The grid.
Yeah, it's described as a visual phenomenon that people perceive during these experiences.
Interesting.
So what exactly does that look like, and what do people think it means?
People who have experienced it, they describe it as an underlying pattern of reality, almost like a blueprint or code. Some connected to simulation theory, the idea that our reality might be computer-generated.
That's a mind-bending concept. I can see how that would be fascinating and unsettling.
Definitely both.
Like, whoa.
Yeah.
Ed, the protagonist, he really struggles with this idea. It challenges his whole perception of what's real.
Which brings up a question for us. How do we interpret these experiences? What do they mean for our understanding of reality?
It's a question that really lingers even after you finish the books.
Big questions.
Yeah, big questions. So we've got this community embracing unconventional ideas, challenging traditional interpretations, exploring the depths of consciousness. They're pushing the boundaries of what's considered normal.
Yeah.
And that's just the beginning. We haven't even touched on the spiritual experiences that Ed and other members have during their retreats. They describe encountering Mother, this essence of unconditional love and interconnectedness.
Powerful stuff.
It's like they're tapping into a universal consciousness, a sense of unity that transcends individual boundaries.
Yeah, it's like a mystical experience, emerging with something larger than themselves.
I'm really curious to hear more about these experiences and what they mean in the context of Caron's philosophy.
Well, that's where we'll pick up in part 2 of our deep dive.
Okay, sounds good.
We'll delve into those experiences, meet some of the other intriguing characters in New Haven, and explore the practical side of their community.
All right, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too. So we were talking about those profound experiences that the New Haven community members have during their retreats.
Yeah, they use psilocybin mushrooms, but it sounds like there's a lot more to it than just the substance itself.
Right. A lot more going on.
You mentioned Mother before, this essence of unconditional love and interconnectedness. It sounds really powerful.
It's transformative, merging with something bigger than themselves.
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem to be a specific deity or entity. It manifests differently for each person.
So how do they describe encountering Mother? Like, what does it actually feel like?
Well, Ariadne, she's the mycologist and shaman of the community. She describes it as being completely enveloped in love and acceptance. A dissolution of boundaries between herself and everything else. Losing her sense of self, realizing she's always been connected to this mother, this essence that's everywhere.
Wow, that sounds intense. I can only imagine how an experience like that would change someone's perspective.
It changes everything for her. She starts to see mother everywhere.
Yeah.
In nature, in other people, even in the, the mundane parts of life.
So it's like she's awakened to this deeper level of reality, a hidden interconnectedness.
Exactly, yeah.
I'm curious to learn more about Ariadne and the other members of the community.
There's Pi. He's the architect of New Haven. He comes from this engineering logic background, so you wouldn't expect him to be open to these mystical experiences.
Right. It's like Chiron's challenging those typical ideas about science versus spirituality.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And Pi's experience reflects that. His initial encounter with Mother is very structured, geometric, almost like a math equation.
Like Mother met him where he was at, speaking his language.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
But as Pi continues to explore, his understanding of Mother evolves, becomes more expansive. He sees the interconnectedness of all things, not just mathematically, but on a deeper level.
That reminds me of that idea of not clinging, letting go of fixed ideas.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that theme of letting go comes up in Pi's interpretation of Tom Bombadil's shift, too.
Right, Tom Bombadil, that enigmatic guide. What does Pi say about his shift?
He compares it to peeling back the layers of an onion, revealing a core that's profound, but maybe a little unsettling. He talks about deleting the code of his own identity, Pi as a construct, and questioning what's left behind.
So letting go of the ego, the idea of a separate self.
Exactly.
Wow. Now, beyond these mind-bending experiences, I'm also fascinated by the practical side of New Haven.
Oh, yeah?
Their commitment to sustainable living.
Yeah, Corn describes their techniques for dome construction, using metal conduit, creating structures based on geometric shapes, like cuboctahedrons and dome tunnels.
Why domes?
They believe domes offer strength, efficiency, and beauty. And they're not just building for themselves. They share these techniques with other communities, spreading this alternative way of life.
It's like they're planting seeds for change.
Yeah, They also use bamboo extensively.
Right, bamboo.
They have a specific method of treating it with borax and boric acid to make it last longer, resist insects, and decay.
So it's about using natural materials in a way that's sustainable.
Ex-
And they have their philosophy laid out in the New Haven Charter, right?
Yep. It outlines the principles of their anarcho-cooperative society, egalitarianism, consensus decision-making, the gift economy. It's a blueprint for community based on cooperation and respect.
You know, I think a lot of people might wonder how a gift economy actually works in practice. It sounds great in theory, but is it realistic?
Well, Quran gives us some insights. It's not about bartering or trading in the traditional sense. It's about recognizing that everyone has unique gifts to offer and contributing those gifts freely for the benefit of the whole community.
So trust and reciprocity are key.
Exactly. When people feel valued and supported, they're more likely to contribute their best.
It's so different from our current systems based on competition and scarcity.
It's a totally different paradigm.
It makes you think.
And it's not just about material resources. It's about knowledge, skills, emotional support. They share their expertise freely, teaching and learning from each other.
Creating a culture of abundance and generosity rather than scarcity and competition.
Exactly. It's at the heart of their success.
You know, it's interesting that Karen keeps mentioning this band Wookiefoot in The Gift. It's like they're more than just music. They have this whole philosophy and community.
Yeah, they have this nonprofit, BathAChangeCharities.org, and they host an annual festival called Shangri-La, which sounds kind of like a microcosm of New Haven, but with music.
Right, and their music is this mix of reggae, world beat, hip-hop, folk. And their shows are very theatrical and engaging.
It's about creating an experience, not just a concert.
And their lyrics often touch on themes of community, connection, social justice, which aligns with Caron's overall philosophy.
Yeah, it's all connected.
So it's not just about escaping into a fantasy, it's about creating real-world change.
Exactly.
Now, back to Ed, he's going through this integration process after his retreat experience, trying to make sense of it all.
Yeah, it's got to be tough to come back from such an intense experience and re-enter a world that feels so different.
It's like bridging two realities.
Ariadne, his guide, she offers some insights. She says the afterglow can last for days, even weeks, but the real work is in processing those insights and integrating them into daily life.
So it's about the lasting transformation, not just the peak experience.
Exactly. And she warns him about potential challenges. He might struggle with decisions because everything seems okay, or start doing things in new and unexpected ways. It's like the old patterns are breaking down, making space for something new.
That sounds both exciting and a bit disorienting.
Yeah, it's both. Ariadne also says that some changes happen so gradually, he might not even notice them at first.
Like the subconscious mind is rewiring itself.
Exactly. It's an ongoing process of transformation. And the community plays a key role. They provide support for sharing experiences, integrating insights, and helping each other grow.
It makes me think that maybe that's part of what makes New Haven work, having this built-in support system for navigating these shifts in consciousness.
Yeah, it's an interesting idea.
Now, there's one more experience Ed and Ariadne share that we need to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
It sounds like the most profound one yet.
It's where things get really mystical.
A journey to the depths of consciousness where they encounter Mother in a whole new way.
It reveals even deeper layers of Caron's philosophy.
So, this experience Ed and Ariadne share, encountering Mother in a new way.
It happens during a casual conversation, which shows how much spirituality is part of everyday life in New Haven.
It's not just limited to ceremonies or rituals.
Ariadne's describing exploring these underground caves with a guide.
Oh, wow.
As she goes deeper, it's like adjusting to a new environment, almost entering a different state of consciousness.
Okay.
And then the guide says they're going to meet Mama.
Mama.
Like a journey to the very core of existence.
The source.
But when they get there, the voice of Mama is the same as the guide's.
Wow.
It's this realization that Mama isn't separate, it's the essence of everything.
The guide and the destination become one.
And Ariadne feels this incredible unconditional love.
She talked about that before.
She says it's the most profound she's ever felt. Pure and all-encompassing.
Powerful.
It breaks down her sense of self, the idea of being as a separate individual.
She realizes she's always been connected to Mama.
And it changes how she sees the world.
How so?
She sees Mama reflected in everything around her. Nature, the trees, the clouds. Recognizing that interconnectedness.
It's a merging of the individual with the universal.
It's central to Caron's work, the dissolution of the ego and recognizing unity. But it's not just theoretical, it completely transforms Ariadne.
Ed has a similar experience during his retreat.
Oh, yeah.
He describes flying through a tunnel and coming to a field of these luminous mushrooms.
Interesting.
And they embody this unconditional love he's looking for.
Okay.
She feels totally accepted, even though he thinks he doesn't deserve it.
It goes beyond those judgments of worthiness.
Yeah. And then Ed asks this big question, who are you?
And what's the answer?
I am you.
Wow.
That realization that the separation between self and other is an illusion.
Yeah.
That the love he's feeling is a reflection of his own true nature.
Like recognizing the divine within himself.
And this experience changes him. He feels a sense of belonging, purpose, connection.
Like he's finally found his place.
Exactly. And that feeling is clear in the last part of the book. He's part of New Haven, participating in their rituals.
He's not an outsider anymore.
Yeah, he's fully integrated.
He even expresses gratitude to Suze, the one who invited him to New Haven, recognizing she was a catalyst for his transformation.
The power of community, supporting each other's growth.
We're not meant to do it alone.
And as Ed reflects on his journey, he sees the unique qualities of everyone in the tribe.
Yeah.
The different personalities make New Haven so vibrant.
And Ariadne says something that sums it up perfectly. We all do well when we all do well.
It really captures the essence of cooperation and interconnectedness.
It's what Charon's work is all about.
So we've come to the end of our deep dive into Charon's world. His philosophy, Ed's transformation, the community of New Haven.
We've explored challenging ideas, profound experiences, and practical ways to create a better world.
Yeah.
What parts of his vision resonate with you? And how can you apply those insights to your own life and community?
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep seeking those connections that make life meaningful.